Trial by media continued in full swing this week across the English-speaking world, with Russell Brand being tried, convicted and sentenced before even getting a day in court by corporations, the UK government and even Australia's own little 60 Minutes show.
From famous funny man to loathsome creep, Russell Brand's star couldn't have fallen much further in a week. But the reason for his demise couldn't be more serious. It's claimed he's a sexual predator. Brand admits to being promiscuous, but strenuously denies wrongdoing. He says all of his sexual encounters with women have been consensual.
A likely story, Mr. Brand, a likely story. How dare you defend yourself? Don't you know how serious these allegations are? How many allegations there are? Now, I'm sick of having to say this, but I'm going to say it again, because although 99% of the people who watch this show are able to separate two simple concepts, we do have 1% of trolls and lefties who watch the show, and you really have to spell stuff out for them. I'm not defending Russell Brand. I don't know Russell Brand. I don't even particularly like Russell Brand stuff. Although the more I see how the entire machine of global media and politics is descending upon the guy, the more sympathy I have for him. I'm talking here about a very fundamental and extremely important aspect of our system of law in the formerly free Western world called the presumption of innocence. You don't convict people based on accusations. We presume them innocent until they've had their day in court. Why? Why do we do this? Precisely because it is so easy to stitch someone up in the media and social media and by spreading rumours and lies about people. And people do it all the time in politics and public life and always have throughout history. And guess what? It doesn't matter how serious the allegations are if they turn out to be false. I could call you a murderer and a rapist, and that's a very serious allegation. But its seriousness is meaningless and irrelevant because it's not true. I could speak to 20 people who claim that you are a murderous rapist, and they could all be lying because they all have a grudge or something to gain. So the number of allegations against you is also irrelevant unless it shows a pattern of behaviour. But if not one of those allegations is true, if they're all false, then it doesn't matter if it's one creep that's falsely accusing you or an entire angry mob of tens of thousands of people that are accusing you if it's not true. So how do we know if something is true or not? Oh, we have a system for it. It's called a legal system, a court system and a criminal justice system. And this system was born out of hundreds and thousands of years of wisdom and trial and error. The one we use is called the British legal system, and it's the best in the world. It's one of the things that Australia was gifted as a nation by its founders. It's very important. It's more important than TV ratings.
A very brave Australian woman living in Los Angeles has now joined a growing list of Russell Brand accusers.
She's a hard-working Australian with decades of experience in the TV industry.
I just felt shame and embarrassment, and I can't believe this man did this to me.
We'll call her Rachel. In June 2008, British comedian Russell Brand came to her office. It's a day she'll never forget.
Wow, what an emotionally manipulative setup that was. In less than 10 seconds, she's a very brave woman and a hard-working woman. And she's Australian, so she's one of us, so that's great. Look, I don't know the woman. I'm sure she's all three. She's probably fantastic. But oh, the manipulation, how they love to tell us what to think before we even know what happened. And we have that music, the same ominous music that Four Corners uses and Channel 4's Dispatches show uses.
I went for a walk back through our corridor to make my way into the bathroom, went past the studio where the door was open, where the four men were.
So Russell Brand has seen you. You've gone into the bathroom.
I've opened up a cupboard where the first aid kit is kept, along with our medicines. And when I turned around, there was a groin in front of me. What are you doing in here? Like, what are you doing, mate? And he goes, oh, you're a bit all right, aren't you? You're a bit all right. And I thought, oh, okay. And then he goes, I'm going to call you Betty. I'm going to call you Betty. And I went, but that's not my name. He said, I'm going to you. And I went, no, you're not. And he goes, yeah, I am. And I said, no, you're not. And before you know it, his penis was on his hand and he was pretty much serving it to me as he would a dish or as you'd serve someone some food.
Yuck. What a creepy guy he was. Now, this woman's accusations against Brand were true. We know that because Brand admitted it in the radio show, recounting the story a few minutes after it happened. And in the pre-Me Too era, his behaviour was considered to be so acceptable that nobody even questioned it, and you could joke about it on the radio. Now, I'm kind of glad that the Me Too era has put the spotlight on sexual harassment in the workplace and changed cultural norms a bit. And what Brand did, exposing himself to this woman in a bathroom at work, is utterly disgusting behaviour. But he wasn't her employer. He was a sleazy celebrity visiting the office where she worked, trying to hit on her in a pretty revolting and outgoing way, shall we say. This may make Russell Brand a creep, but it does not make him a rapist. And it should, under our legal system, have zero bearing on the very serious allegations of rape within consensual relationships that are being made against him now. And the main point is that we have courts of law and we have to be very sceptical and careful of believing anything that the mainstream media cooks up about a guy who spends most of his time attacking the mainstream media. And, unlike me, sadly or maybe thankfully, outperforming the mainstream media on a massive scale. Brand is their commercial competitor for eyeballs. He has millions upon millions of followers. And suddenly, wow, there's a massive pylon on the guy. What a coincidence. It was okay back in 2008 for the very same media outlets to be totally happy to put up with Brand's inappropriate behaviour and even make excuses for it. Shows like, Australia's 60 Minutes.
I'm a tricky little swine, I'm a trickster. I'm a raven, I'm a playful coyote, looking for mischief.
When you interview Russell Brand, you actually don't really know who's going to turn up.
This isn't crystal meth, that's literally a crystal. If you smoke that, all you'll get is enlightened.
The more you say don't, the more he does. That's Russell.
So it was like an alpine mountain range stabbing up into my nuts.
When I first started talking to him, I thought, oh, Russell's going to be smart-ass Russell. Then he suddenly took a shine to me, and he became most enjoyable to be around.
Is this the interview now?
This is
You're just going to lean in. That's how it indicates the commencement.
Wow. Hypocrisy sandwich, anyone? That's how it works, folks. While he's one of us, all is well. But when we decide it's time to nail the guy, the music changes from that nice, bubbly, fun stuff to the ominous Predator soundtrack from Jaws. But Russell's little flirtation with 60 Minutes' Liz Hayes didn't stop there.
He's a really smart man, and he, I think, in amongst it all, is a very decent man. He has a lot of humanity. He cares. So there's a whole lot packed into Russell. Happy Russell put me into his little golf buggy, and we were going to do some B-roll. And then Russell declared that he was going to take me on a unauthorised trip around the lot.
Yeah, and that's where things start to get a little naughty, and maybe even, one could say, fun. And maybe a Me Too person would say unacceptably unprofessional.
I want you to know I was abducted by Russell Brand. You seem to be a little naughty boy from the beginning.
You said that in a flirtatious way.
I did. He understands entertainment. He's a comedian. He's an over-the-top performer. He likes to shock. That's his thing, and he does it so well. You were classified as a sex addict. I'm going to blush, but what's too much?
I can't hurt you from there, Liz.
What is too much sex?
Well, look, it's not with this addiction. I think what it is any behaviour that you engage in compulsively, even though it's detrimental to your life. If when you're taking drugs or eating chocolate or having sex, it's making your life worse, and yet you cannot stop, that's addiction, and you should look at it.
How is it destructive for you?
Well, if you're sleeping with so many people that you can't get to work, or you're not being properly discerning about who the people are that you're sleeping with, people sort of, then eventually you're going to get into trouble. Just there's a numbers game, isn't it? Sooner or later, it's going to be a married person, or you're going to pick up something unforgivable and unrelenting. But I've been very, very lucky.
Seasoned as I am as a journalist, I am prepared for all events and all kinds of people. And when Russell Brand decided he would like to kiss me, well, you know, you size up the situation. You think, am I in danger? You know, what could go wrong?
Liz, that's your fault. Because you took your eye off the road because things was getting a bit fruity out there. All right, Liz, goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's been really a wonderful experience.
The naughty Russell ended the day. Do I have to tell you?
See you later, Liz.
Russell?
All right, take care. Russell, I can undo your bra just like this. Liz, I love you.
No, Russell's a performer. So in my opinion, Russell, there are many Russells, and I think the at-home Russell is probably exhausted.
I'm so confused. I mean, we love it when he's being the larrikin and shocking people. We pay to see it. We're happy to play along and promote it. But when he goes too far, then we want to destroy him. Okay, nice. Do you see the problem here, folks? The problem lies in this. Who gets to decide what is too far and what isn't? The alleged victim decides, and the hypersexualised male, in this case, has to guess. And that's fine, I guess. That's the dance of flirtation. But it's bloody confusing for young boys. So I'm going to take a minute and play dad to our young boys, if you'll just excuse me, because I think that our young men are being let down big time by our modern, sick culture of gross hypocrisy, Channel 9 style. They get all these totally contradictory messages shoved down their throats as their brains are developing, and they get very little good advice from our culture on what's right and what's not. So boys, this is for you. We live in a hypersexualised culture where everyone and everything is allowed to be hypersexual except you. That's just the way it is right now. It is not okay to use that injustice as an excuse to overstep the mark with women. You have to rise above it. You have to be brave and strong and chivalrous beyond what anybody should be expected to be. In the face of girls walking around wearing practically nothing, using all of their massive sexual power over you, you must resist. You must remain good and noble and do what is right. We're put on this earth to protect mother and child. That's part of what being a good man is all about. But we're asking you to do something that's never really been asked of any men in history. We're asking your generation to uphold that righteousness in the face of a culture of the most unbridled female sexual self-expression in history, in the face of endless pornography at the press of a button, in the face of OnlyFans and TikTok and corporate advertising using sex to manipulate your natural sexual desire for women at every turn. And yet you must still behave yourselves and control yourselves. There's just zero excuse for doing otherwise, I'm afraid. But we need to applaud you for that and let you know that we are expecting something very big of you. And we have let you down in our culture. And we're sorry. Things will hopefully balance out again soon. Seek out the good women of character and substance and good values. Seek out good relationships. Treat these women like queens, for they too are fighting against awful cultural norms. These women will reward you and bring you more happiness than any plastic-breasted, plastic-lipped, over-Botoxed, vacuous narcissist on social media will ever do. And there are many, many good women out there. Good luck. I'm so glad I'm over the hill and happily married and not in my 20s in the 2020s. Just to underscore that point of the danger and the risk here related to having government people, having politicians acting as some kind of ministry of truth. In case you missed it, I'll read from the London Express newspaper. A UK Parliament committee has written to social media platforms asking them if they intend to prevent Russell Brand from earning any money via his platforms. So talk about not respecting the presumption of innocence. It was the chair of Parliament's Culture, Media and Sport Committee, a woman by the name of Dame Caroline Dinenage, DBE. She wrote to several social media platforms asking them to confirm whether Brand could still monetize his work on those platforms. And she went on to ask whether they intend to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. I think it's appalling that YouTube has done that. She sent the letter to Rumble and TikTok. Rumble responded by sharing the letter on X, formerly Twitter, and said it was, quote, deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who's allowed to speak on our platform or earn a living from doing so. It went on to say that although it may be politically and socially easier for Rumble to join a cancel culture mob, doing so would be a violation of our company's values and mission. We emphatically reject the UK Parliament's demands. So I'd like to say that I applaud Rumble 110%.